Okay, I'd like to see how I can help with the understanding of Chapter 3. Go through quickly what is discussed in Chapter 3. The first topic to go into is understanding that there are three basic structures of code that we can use to create a whole program. Okay, and the first of those is sequence, which is pretty straightforward. One operation is followed by another one in a straight line, one after another. That is called the sequence structure. And the next one is and the next one is the selection structure, and this is also what is known as an if statement. If a certain condition exists, then do one thing, else do the other thing. Okay, so it's an if-else statement. So if one thing, do this, else do the other. Okay, sometimes the one loop may not have any action at all. It might be only action on one side. Sometimes action on both sides. Okay, and then the next one is the loop, and this is going to be a part of almost every program we make, starting from Chapter 4 on. But the loop is a while statement. So it's basically saying while a certain condition exists, do a certain operation and then return. And then usually it's used with a terminal value of some kind that would end the loop. Okay, and we talked a little bit about that in previous chapters. Okay, so those are the three. Now this little diagram here from the text shows how every program is going to have a collection of them. Very few programs are going to be all sequence. Very few programs are going to be if or selection choices, and very few are going to be only loops. They're going to be a collection of the three. So that's all that picture shows is how there's all three of them in one program. And then there's some more nested structures. But what I wanted to point out is how the code is handled here. When you are in the middle of an if statement, everything that happens after that moves over, is indented until you come back to the end of the if statement. So you can follow that in here. You need to understand how to write the code for these things. Okay, so there's the if statement, and there's the end of the if statement down here. So we have an if statement which begins, then sends us down to a while statement. And then when the while statement, end while, is done, and we eventually meet the condition that lets us out of the loop, we then end the if. Okay, so we end the while and then end the if. Alright, so that's how that works. Now, another concept that's introduced in this chapter, which we will use going forward, is how to get around the problem of when you want a person to input a number and then repeat inputting numbers when you've done a calculation. So this is the solution to that. There's some discussion of this in the text, but this bottom line right here tells us how we do that. So this could be, the input could be the original number, and then you would go to your while statement, which basically says, while what it's basically saying is, while this is not the ending or quitting statement, then do these calculations. Go to here, calculate the number times 2, and then output the answer. And then if you quit at this point and went back to the end of the loop, you would not be asking for another number. Only the one number would be calculated. So what you do is you repeat this down here and say input original number. So I'm repeating this instruction, and then I come back to the loop. So now I have the second one, and I say, is this the end of it? And if it is not the end of it, then we come over here and we do another calculation, and then we say input another number. So we're going back around inputting numbers until finally it comes in and says, yes, this is the end of it, and then we go out. That's the end of the while. Okay, so this is how you are able to set up a program where a person can input information to the program, and then you can do something with it, and then come back and ask them for more input. Okay, that's how it's done. All right, so the last thing I wanted to look at is how you have to be able to recognize structure in a diagram and get it corrected, make it correct. Okay, so you're going to have some homework on these kind of things, and I took this one out of the book. There's the first state, and then they're using a technique that they describe in the book where you visualize that you're pulling a string through, and they go through that step by step, and you should follow that and try to do that. I would like to do it in a different way. What I do is just try to recognize the structure. So here is that same original diagram we looked at, and you can see that there's something that doesn't look right. And what it is that doesn't look right is that this if statement isn't ending properly. If statements should come down to what you want to do next. It should tie in then at the end. If we go back and look at an if statement in our slides, there it is right there. You see this part right in here always ties together. It comes back. The two branches of the if statement come back to that point right there. And that's what's missing in this one. The two branches do not come back together. So that needs to get fixed. So what I did was copied and pasted that here. And to fix it, I can just start pulling apart things, all right? Don't know if I'll be able to finish this, but I'll get started on it, okay? First thing I want to do is I want to make sure the auto connect is not on when I'm taking something apart. When you're putting something together, you need the auto connect. When you're taking something apart, you get rid of the auto connect. So what we need to do here is get this part to look like a selection, okay? It needs another rectangle right there. So let's get rid of that. That's not the correct way to do it, so I'm going to delete that. And I need to delete these things on the bottom. This isn't going to work. Okay. Now, I need another rectangle, which says the same thing as that, okay? So I'll bring that in. There. And that action is the very same action. That's the one to the left. It's J. Alright? So I have two J's. This it adds an action box, but it keeps the thing structured, okay? And it's from here, it is insert connectors and try to get the thing tied back together again. So this goes from here to here. Okay, and then insert connector right there. Now I need to tie these two together. Okay, those are tied together. And now let's do it again. Insert connector. Now tie these two together. Whoops, I took the whole thing apart. Don't want to do that. Alright, so I'm fiddling with this, and eventually I will get it worked out, but I'm not sure you need to watch me do it. So let me try one more time. Insert connector. From here to here. Then what I want to do is take from here over to here, and then one outlet down there, and I would have it fixed, okay? So I'm just trying to show you that the way I think you can do these problems is to start by creating the actual first one, even though it's wrong, and then take it apart like I just did and put it back together again. So if you have any questions on this, come to the forum or give me an email. Thanks.